Gonna do another Chuck Berry tribute straight from 1955, a Lost 45 or maybe a Lost 78, whatever you want to call it. You don't hear this. When you think of Chuck Berry, you think of Roll Over Beethoven, Johnny Be Good, Sweet Little 16, No Particular Place to Go, but you very seldom hear about this record. You won't hear this song played on the oldie stations. It was a big R&B hit. Runner up to Maybelline. Wee Wee Hours. Wee Wee Hours. Straight up blues. This is a different Chuck Berry. This is sort of a different side of Chuck Berry. Not the hard rocking records like Roll Over Beethoven or Johnny Be Good or even 30 Days to Come Back Home. Another song that he recorded around that same time back in 1955. This classic blues. Chuck Berry playing the blues since he was in his teens. Chuck Berry, here's the deal about Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry, before he got big, he worked a whole bunch of jobs. He got married at 19, oh God, I forgot the year. It was in the 40s. He got married sometime in the late 40s, had his child in 1950. He worked in an auto assembly plant. He worked at a couple of auto assembly plants. He worked at a janitor, same apartment building that he and his wife lived in. And he worked as a beautician at one point, a beautician. He finally made enough money. He made enough money or did well enough to buy a small house, a small 3-bedroom house, or it might be a 3-room house with a bath. It was a step up from the apartment, and he bought that in 1950. On the side, he played the clubs in St. Louis, making a little extra money. And 1953, he joined the Johnny Johnson Trio. Johnny Johnson started a collaboration with Johnny Johnson. Johnny Johnson, the legendary rock and roll, the blues, jazz, piano player. Listen to that sprinkling piano. Listen to that dazzling piano. It just kind of moves sensuously along in wee wee hours. Johnny Johnson. Blues man, Johnny Johnson. And Chuck Berry, he moved to Chicago. He met Muddy Waters, and Muddy Waters suggested that he meet Leonard Chess at Chess Records. And actually, Chuck Berry wanted to get a deal with Chess Records, and here's what he did. But he got a surprise. One of the songs that was in Johnny Johnson's Trio's repertoire was Wee Wee Hours. Well, at least Johnny Johnson had been playing Wee Wee Hours for years as an instrumental, just an instrumental. Chuck Berry sent the instrumental. He sent an audition tape of Wee Wee Hours, the instrumental part, to Chess Records. Chess Records, they thought, well, we kind of like the blues. We're an R&B label, but the R&B market is not what it used to be. It's shrinking. And you got this country record that you guys are doing on this audition tape. Ida Red, your version of Ida Red, the rendition by Bob Wills' rendition of Ida Red. You got this country tune on here. Tell you what, we'll sign you up. Why don't you just come on over and record your version of Ida Red? Ida Red became Maybelline, Chuck Berry's first million seller. How about that? See, the thing about Ida Red was Johnny Johnson. Let's go back to 1953 and 54 before Chuck Berry got big. The Johnny Johnson Trio was basically a blues and ballad outfit, doing slow records, blues records. But most of the white people who lived in the area that they were performing liked country music. Chuck Berry decided, well, let me try out some country music to a predominantly black audience. And they were like, who's this black hillbilly? And they started laughing. Eventually, they got into it. Wasn't so bad. They started dancing to it, at least according to Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry pulling from country music influence, pulling from R&B, pulling from blues. That's the genius, man. He put it all together. But this song is different. This is a true jam. This is Chuck Berry doing straight up blues. I wouldn't even call it rock and roll, or at least not rock and roll if we know it today. Chuck Berry and Johnny Johnson. I don't know if I said Jimmy Johnson. It's Johnny Johnson playing the piano on this record. Chuck Berry, Johnny Johnson, and this is Wee Wee Hours. Went to number 10 R&B, 1955.